All right, we're on air. Today is Thursday, July 25th, and this meeting is to check in on active development tasks for Backdrop CMS. First and most exciting announcement is that Backdrop passed 1,000 live reporting Backdrop sites. I'm not sure when it was. Looks like July 13th. I'm going to put this screenshot at the top of the agenda because it's exciting. So that's great. It looks like we're at 1,020 right now. So yay, people are using it. It's great. Also very exciting in our community, we have new contributors. There are 3 people who have applications there since the last time I looked. I don't know, Gregory, if you guys covered some of these in the last meeting, but
yeah, I just approved a person right now. So their handle is, if I'm reading it correctly, Nitish.
Yeah.
So welcome on board.
Yeah.
He's a Drupal 7 module maintainer that which we have quoted, and he's offered to maintain the Backdrop version as well. So I just sent an invite over.
That's great. And then there's 2 other people with maintainer applications who've ported over Drupal modules are also waiting. So I find that very exciting. Having Drupal people porting their own stuff is also really great. In the creation of new projects, these are ones with official releases. This week we have 3, block background color, which is the one that Nitesh worked on, taxonomy, CSV, import export, which is something I've actually used a lot in Drupal, and charts, which I think is a module that you made initially.
It was, yeah. That's so great. Yeah, it was so great that all those modules that I wrote ages ago, people are still picking up and maintaining. And it's wonderful because I don't have the capacity to maintain them all. So I really appreciate those people porting them to Backdrop and then supporting them. Yay, that's so great.
And that's it. I deleted all the other stuff from the agenda because there wasn't anything new since our last few meetings. But next step here is Backdrop project progress report.
Yeah, okay. And we'll start with the bug fix version. As always, boy, it's been, what, like 3 weeks, a month? I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been on a meeting. I've been traveling a lot. So I apologize for things that I might be repeating or covering in the past couple of meetings. So let's see, 1.13.3 will be the next bug fix release. We don't have any expected release date on it, although we are accruing a number of fixes. I've been going through the RTBC queue today, and I merged in 4 or 5 RTBC issues. And now I'm going through the works for me issues to see if I can get any of those in as well.
There's one that fixes the problem with the forum, with our forum site, with the inability of people to edit their own comments. It was a simple 1-line fix. There is a follow-up.
And that's actually a core issue?
Yes, so we changed the operation from edit to update.
Oops.
And we did have a wrapper that was normalizing that thing, but for some reason it didn't kick in. We can follow that up, why it didn't happen. And there's also a DocBlock comment that says the way that comments are meant to be working is that if someone replies to a comment, then you cannot edit it. But that's what the DocBlock says, and maybe it's inherited from like D6 or previous versions of Drupal. But people that have tested it say that it doesn't work that way. Nevertheless, that's not the scope of the issue. It was just mentioned, so it can be a follow-up. The immediate problem is fixed by a single line thing.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I haven't. It's not in the 1.13.3 milestone. It doesn't look like, whatever that issue is.
I'll get you the issue number now, and I'll see. So I think I've added the milestone. I'm not sure. Prevent. So it's back. So it's issue 3948. Missing edit link for comments.
Cool.
Yeah, and I added the milestone, but not the milestone candidate label, but not the milestone. I'm adding it now.
Got it. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I thought it was that way in Drupal too. I remember things being weird, but maybe I'm just remembering Backdrop.
Cool. Yeah, that would be great to get in.
Yeah, the pull request includes some changes in doc blocks, like they were inaccurate, so I just couldn't help it. But it's just doc block changes, nothing else, just comment changes.
Okay, let's see. So let's go over the items that we've pulled out for the agenda.
Yep.
We've got this long-running issue that the is none of operator in views is broken. That's issue 3614. We have two different pull requests, one from Doc Wilmot and one from Jen. Has tests, but one of the tests is not testing everything quite appropriately, but it's passing, and the other one tests everything appropriately, but it has 3 exceptions. And so still working on getting the tests sorted out on that issue, although the functionality, it seems like everybody's agreed that what we have is working. Let's see. Layout changing may lose the content if the region names don't match. So when changing between 2 different templates, that can cause blocks to get disappeared. Let's see. Looks like this issue 3762 currently needs review. Gregory, thanks for your work on this, and Herb Duel working on tag teaming back and forth to figure that one out. Let's see, we have a number of issues as the views module, both in Drupal 7 and in Drupal 8, has been receiving fixes, but in particular, keeping up with the Drupal 7 module is a much more attainable thing for us. And so, Gregory, you opened up issue 3685 that is keeping on track with changes to the Drupal 7 contrib module. Looks like...
So this has become a meta issue. So I think I've done the first 2 steps, like 3719 and 3720, and not all of the requests. The commits, maybe like 95% of them. It's just I gotten to a point where if I keep going, I will have conflicts with the rest of the pull requests. So some of these need to be merged.
Mm-hmm. So the ones that have check boxes. Oh, nice. Yeah. So we've already merged 4 of them, but it looks like we've got another 1, 2, 3. Are these all merge requests? No. These are all different issues.
There are issues with sub-issues. I mean,
yeah, each issue has like 40 potential pull requests associated with it.
Oh my gosh! Wow, we are way behind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Holy moly!
And all the things that are on the first page, Nate, are also on the sub pages. I just wasn't sure which like release they went into, so I left them on the bottom of the first page, but they can probably be ignored by now.
Mm-hmm. So we should go through these in order, I imagine, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And soon as we finish most of them, I can move on filing pull requests for the rest of them. It's just that it doesn't make sense now because I was coming across things that, I touched this bit of code on a previous thing. So yeah, I can't move forward.
Okay. Yeah, great. There's a lot of these. Okay. I've been going through things today. I can start going through some of these earlier ones and getting them up to date.
Okay, cool.
Super. Okay, wow. Thanks for all of that work. That's a lot of effort.
Yes, and there's more. So if you let me know via Gitter that you've gone through them, I'll probably see. But the sooner that you let me know, the sooner I'll get through the rest of them. Okay.
Yeah, I was oh yeah, there's like 6 or 7 issues in here, but no, there's like 60 or 70 issues.
So I'm going away on holidays starting tomorrow, and I'm gonna have 2 weeks. So there's your chance. I can at least knock out the pull request for the rest of them.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. That's it for things that we've got to pull out for the 113.3 milestone issues or bug fixes that are currently being worked on. Let's talk about 114, the next minor release. That will come out September 15th. 2019. The feature freeze is September 1st. Yeah, now that August is around the corner, it's going to suddenly seem like, oh my goodness, like we have to get rolling on these things. Okay, so let's see. We've got the different issues as we've been doing. The advocates for each issue will talk about their issue if they have any updates that have been happening. The one that I've been covering is digital signatures on packages, part of the Automatic Updates Initiative, issue 1992. I wish I had more status updates on this, but I don't have anything. We're currently still working. I'm working on getting updates into project module to make it so that the project XML feeds start having signatures in them, and then we can work to make the backdrop update module actually start reading them. So still the same as before. There's a lot of work that John Franklin has done, and it's all just backed up on me reviewing it. Any volunteers out there that want to help things along, take a look in not the core issue queue, but the project module issue queue, where there's pending work that John Franklin has been filing merge requests, pull requests over there. And that's where we're currently working. Let's see. Before I give up the microphone, there's been from the Gitter chat log, Doc Wilmot also wants to mention that the flexible layout functionality that he's been working on also could use. Oh,
It's added there.
Sorry, this is one that you have. I will stop talking and let you talk about this, Gregory. I see that you've dumped it in the update. So
let's go
to that one first, and then we'll go to Jen. So Gregory, can you give us an update?
So, yeah, let's get the smaller one over with. Was it removed? Jen is editing. So okay.
Sorry, I was trying to put it in the order that you guys wanted it, but your order keeps changing faster than I can update the documents. I'm just
okay. No worries. Thanks. I'll get the trusted host patterns out of the way because it's a smaller one. So that's issue 2568. It's been waiting for code review and testing for some time, but unfortunately, the testing cannot be done in the PR sandboxes because people need to add those things in their settings PHP file, so it has to be done on their local. I've tested it on my local. I think that I've covered most of the cases, and the way that it's implemented is that we do not stop the installer and we do not throw a white screen at people if they haven't set it. So it's an opt-in thing. People can use it if they want, or just ignore the warning. And we don't throw an error, we throw a warning instead. So there is a follow-up idea for that to allow setting it via the user interface, but yeah, that will be a follow-up issue. And that's that with that feature. And then we go to the configurable layout templates.
Yeah, Gregory, quick question.
Yeah.
For testing that other issue, are there good instructions on how to test it in the issue?
You can just pull the specific branch and set it up on your local, or take it as a patch. Do you know how to do that?
No, I mean, or what about the change? Like, what do we have to change in settings.php?
Oh,
I know nothing about trusted host patterns, and I go to that issue. Is it going to explain to me what I need to do to test it?
It doesn't explain it in words, but if you see the code, settings PHP has whatever you need. So there's a documentation added in the settings.php, but I'll add some comments so that you can test it more easily.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So next issue is 3755, the one that Doc Wilmot has been working on, and he's brought his request into a status where we've tested it and we all like it and we're all excited about it, but he needs technical sort of like guidance and see if the implementation that he's followed is correct. So yeah, I think that this is a job for one of the core committers, Nate or Herbdo or Jeff, perhaps. So that's where we're stuck at this point. And yep, I don't know. Nate, do you think you're muted, by the way?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, sounds like it is what it is, you know, like we need somebody to do the reviewing. whether that's a core committer or somebody else, like yeah. I'd like to say, oh, I'll take a look at that right away, but I don't want to add too much, commitment that I will fail to follow through on. So if I have time, I'll look at it.
Yeah, I don't think that he's looking for a full code review from you, rather than he's explaining the general approach. Yeah.
I don't think he wants to spend too much more time working on it if you're going to come in at the end and be like, no, this approach is wrong. So just like a thumbs up, like keep going, or like try something else.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, and I think he was thinking of moving things around, some ink files. So yeah, so he needs basic sort of like direction, technical direction.
Okay. I'll post a comment, or I'll try to take a look and then just post some feedback, simple feedback. Okay. Let's see. What's the next item?
Recent news block in dashboard. Update from Tim.
Muted. I'm unmuted. Nothing's happened since last week. Basically, we're waiting on getting the JSON feed configured on backdrop.org, and some decisions have to be made. I just posted the link to where Jeff has asked some questions. I think it's really a matter of making some decisions about like how to name some things. Like, I have to go back and review it. It's been over a week since I looked at it. I was, after the last meeting, just going to do some more research, because I don't have strong opinions on this, but to see if I could do some research and see what other people are doing. But really, it's just a matter of making some decisions. So those with opinions on this need to weigh in. It's like on how to name the
URLs.
The URLs and stuff. Like, should we use /API or /JSON or things like that? And once we make those decisions, I think we can wrap this up. Then we can create the feed from backdrop.org, and then I think finalize the module. So that's it. That's all I have.
Okay. Next is fieldable files. I haven't made any progress on that since last week. My goal for today is to put an update in the issue so everybody knows where it's at, and get a new sandbox up so that people can test the stuff that's changed. And then it looks like that's the end of the things that are tagged for 1.14.0, but there is one ongoing item we want to keep our eye on, and that is updating CKEditor to the next version. It looks like there is the next minor version has very few changes between what we have now. And so if we can get a working pull request up for that, it could go into 1.14.
Yep. Usually my goal is to have the pull request merged by code freeze, so that we have some time to test things in the PR sandboxes at the very least, and flesh out any issues. But the changes were very minimal. Like, some of them were even updating the README files, and yeah.
Okay.
Do you know, does I'm reading over this, since there's a feature for emojis, which is always exciting.
Yes.
Does that it doesn't make it so that it has autocomplete support as you type, does it? Like
that's a separate one.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and these are plugins that can be added. I can add separate pull requests. I can, or maybe I'll file a pull request that updates the current components, and then I'll file an alternative one that includes those for testing.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, it's the two things. I think @mentions and emojis. These are the two ones that we need for the forum as well.
Yeah, I think @mentions.
It's a little trickier.
Yeah, I think @mentions is maybe not universal as well. Like, maybe that's a better thing for contrib.
Yeah.
But okay, cool. Cool.
All right, and then we have nothing on the list yet for 1.15.0. And then we have a couple of items under general discussion. One of them, I think we mentioned earlier, is talking about ways we can make it easier for people to join the contrib group. So there's an issue number 517, I think in the backdropcms.org queue. I just think it would be good to figure out what the current pain points are for people who want to be maintainers. And if once we know what those are, we can come to some idea of what a better process might be. I think one thing we should do that'll definitely help is getting those templates up, because once we have the templates up, it'll prevent people from creating issues that are incomplete where you need to follow up and ask them for additional things. But yeah, beyond that, we need to figure out what might be better.
Yeah, so what the current process is like we throw people at a huge README file, which is always a barrier. Whereas if we had a web form, it would be just them ticking boxes. Even the accept the agreement thing, we'll have a record of it.
But a web form is an extra step. Like I think if the problem is a README file, we just need to fix the README file. Like the web form doesn't get them anything, except for they have to do that, and then they also have to do the existing process.
So, I mean, I have a couple of thoughts. One of which is a web form is really defined, right? So the README file, it's the README file, and then it's create an issue, right? You have to post an issue in the issue queue, and it's like, what exactly do you put into that, right?
That's what the template will solve.
Sure. Okay. The other advantage in this, distinction or thing with, with a web form is that we could ask like contact information and other things that we wouldn't necessarily just put into GitHub, which I don't know if we want to or need to, but right now we don't have anything to do with that. But if we got the
right, but if we have their GitHub username, we have that anyway.
Yeah.
Do we have like we can get their email address from that?
You can contact them through GitHub if they've chosen to be contacted.
Well, I would make an argument that actually getting their email address would be better, and we could do that through a web form. So.
But that's an extra step. Like we're making it harder for people to be maintainers instead of making it easier.
I feel the opposite. I feel like I would rather fill out a web form than go do.
Well, you have to do the other stuff anyway. You can't replace a GitHub integration with a GitHub tool with a thing that doesn't integrate with GitHub. Like we need them to have an account on GitHub in order to have the code on GitHub. We need them to create the issue in order to agree that like.
Unless we request the GitHub handle.
Right, but we have to authenticate. We can't just ask them for a name. And they still have to have their code on GitHub. Like just because we have their username doesn't prevent them from needing to use GitHub. Like that's where the code lives. They have to put the code there for a code review. They have to maintain the module there.
That's the issue. To me, there's one step, the step of creating an issue in GitHub to say, hey, I want to become a maintainer. That's kind of and you're saying we're going to replace that with a template. So a better template would definitely help that. It might reduce the need. We don't have that template today. So compared to our process today, a web form would be better because I know what I need to fill out. It's right there.
No, you can't use a web form to post a module into a contributed group on GitHub.
We're talking about different things.
But you have to do that as part of the application.
Yeah, we're talking about
your code so we can review it.
But that's not the part that I'm complaining about. I understand you have to do that. I understand you're going to have to do that no matter what. But there's another part, right, which we're trying to fix. And the other part is the part where I just post a message in this backdrop contrib group saying, hey, I want to become a maintainer.
But you can't post that without a link to your code.
So I set up my code and then I fill out the web form.
But your code is on GitHub. And your code needs to go into that issue queue. Like
I'm not understanding the problem. But
Jen, I get what's being said here is that a web form with like multiple steps basically would walk somebody through the process. Right. You know, even if they have to do something on GitHub and that is part of the web form that they fill out, like saying, you know, check the box, I have created an issue or I have pushed stuff up to GitHub. And so that way it provides a path for people to follow, even though it might not actually provide any new data. You know, it would just be like a step for them to it would be a guide, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's not us getting anything out of it. That's just something that would tell people what they need to do. And after they've completed the web form, they would have done, like the web form itself does nothing for them.
No, it doesn't automate. It doesn't automate anything.
Do, which seems like the form is not the solution. Like we need a checklist.
Sure.
Right.
There might be better solutions. I'm not
Yeah.
arguing. I'm arguing what we have today versus a web form. A better
Well,
solution.
let's not start with the web form as a solution because it's not a good solution. Let's figure out what the problem is first,
Fair
and then find out what the best solution is.
Fair enough.
Then
So
is
the
against
problem-
that form.
it sounds like-
We
From problems,
Okay.
we have the README file as a problem, right? We have creating an issue as a problem.
we have too many things in that README file, including the checklist that they have to go through. So the web form would present them with something that is the agreement, and they would just tick a checkbox instead of telling them, this is the agreement, just say that you agree here. Yeah. So
Yeah, that is true. That would be, I like that, formalizing the agreement, because the I agree, like respond to comment saying I agree, it's a very awkward thing for people to
yeah,
be following.
people are used to, tick a checkbox. And the thing is that we also sort of like force them to create a backdropcms.org account, which means that we have their email addresses or, the CVCRM thing that we were discussing.
Yeah,
But part of the whole reason, like, we want to be on GitHub is because people don't need to have anything to do with backdropcms.org in order to manage their code. So I don't think it should be a requirement. I mean, I think it would be good to take everybody who wants to have an account and manage them through CVCRM in the same way. But I don't think that should be a blocker.
Maybe it needs a little bit more discussion then before we know. Maybe we should set goals and then find a solution instead of doing, trying to fit the solution into the goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah, whether or not somebody needs an account on
Yeah, and-
backdropcms.org is a whole other thing.
And Jen doesn't like the web form. We get that.
It's just extra work. I want to make it less work for people.
I totally respect, like, let's define the problem and come up with the best solution. That
Exactly.
makes sense. Yep.
It would be beautiful if GitHub provided a way to create forms
On GitHub.
on GitHub.
Yeah.
But yeah, or if we had single sign-on solution for Backdrop CMS.
Yeah. If we had a
That-
single sign-on solution, that would solve a lot of it, because then we could, if we had the web form, we could leverage the GitHub API to do things that we need to have done. But without that integration, it still has to be done twice.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so what are our next steps with this? Will someone in that issue write down like problems, like all the problems people face, so that we can address them? I totally agree. The README file needs to be cleaned up. I think we could come up with a checklist. That would be great. Anything else we run into issues with, pain points, sticking points, let's write them down so that we can try and figure out how to.
Yeah. I think that adding a template that says become a maintainer would solve quite a few of the problems. Like
I think we already have an issue that includes like 3 possible templates. I mean, they're not written. It just says like we wanted to have one that was a maintainer application, one that was a court request, one that was like a notification thing. I'll look at that. I don't remember. I think there was an issue, but I can't swear for sure. Okay. And then last thing, I don't know who put this here. How are usage statistics generated?
Let's see. So there's a forum post I haven't taken a look at. Looks like Graham72, Doc Wilmot, and Tim are asking. Yeah, it looks like, okay. So, okay. I think the easiest, maybe not the easiest way to understand, but the code for how sites are counted is in project module. And in particular, it's in the file that serves up the XML. So when you check for updates, there's an XML file that is returned back to you. And so here it is. So there's this file called project usage process.php. I'll throw it into the, actually, I want to share my screen. Here we go. Nice.
So is there a clean documented thing that says these are the 4 things that are counted in the code comments?
What do you mean the 4 things?
Like just because people want to know how this is computed, sending them to a file full of code and telling them to figure it out isn't super helpful. I was just wondering if there was like a documented thing, like maybe in project modules README, that says like, we track X sites when this happens, counting IP addresses, but only if they've, I don't know if it's like in human words rather than in code.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
This is the project usage module. There's no README in it. Project itself is like, pretty rudimentary in its description.
Okay.
So in the effort of like answering this question, like just verbally, I know it'd be better to have it written. Oh wait, there's a README in project release. Oh, this is project release though, not
Project usage.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting things mixed up. Sorry, project release serve history. This is actually the file that does it, I believe. Oh, no, it's not.
Okay.
Because this is just recording the raw usage, and then the other one is actually, so when you check for updates, it if there is a site key specified, that's when you check the box, it says like, let's see, what is it? There's like a automatically check for updates. I think that isn't there a checkbox during installation that says, should you be tracked or not?
No.
No.
There's not.
No.
Okay. Well, that's too bad, because you could potentially make it so that you could opt out really easily of being tracked, but still check for updates just by not passing this site key thing.
Yeah, we have an issue for that.
Yes. Right. To separate the two.
Yep. So if site key is not passed, then you can get the XML back without being tracked. But site key is passed, it sounds like, all the time by all backdrop sites. And so when site key is passed, this is like your kind of unique identifier that then the fact that you've checked for updates gets put into this table, project usage raw. And then on cron jobs, project usage runs this PHP file. And this pulls stuff out of project usage raw, that table, and then puts into the final project usage tables, including the daily table and the weekly table and the I guess this is the daily and the weekly table.
The question is, how is it counted?
Right.
Like, and I think I've heard you say this before, Nate, where it was like, it only counts a site if it reports 2 weeks in a row. And it won't count multiple copies of the same site key.
Right. Yes, those 2 things are true.
And then what else?
It is in like an interesting data point. When you check for updates, it passes the list of all modules that are enabled on the site. But it doesn't actually do anything with that data currently. So Backdrop is passing along when it checks for updates for Backdrop all of the modules that are turned on, but that's not recorded anywhere.
So how is all the project usage for modules? Where's that coming from?
Right.
So each project, there's a separate XML file for every project that includes the release history for each project on the site. So when you check for updates, it does a HTTP request to every individual project that you have. And that's how project usage is calculated on a per project basis.
So when you hold on. So when you don't have any modules, wait. So it's sending module data twice, once individually for every module, and then once as a whole set with core or with the regular update?
So it checks for cores updates. And I think that when it checks for core updates, I'm not actually sure how it determines the module list that gets passed along. Yeah, I would need to look into it.
I think it uses it. I think that's what that module, I think that it only sends one piece of data, which is, this is my version and these are all the modules that I'm running in their versions. And then that's how we track usage statistics per version of each module.
I'm pretty sure that we track version usage of each module when we check for each individual module's updates.
I don't know if it's critical that we get this exactly right today, but we've gotten progress. I have a better understanding now, and I'm writing notes this time.
I think it would be good though to figure this out, Tim, like pretty specifically, and put it in the README file, because everyone's going to have this question, and every single time we have to kind of guess and be like, I think it does this, and I know it does this, and it might do this. So it would be good to have somebody like Nate's doing right now, read through the file and see if you see anything specific that's notable, and then put it into like either the README file in the project module. It can make a good blog post, and especially like how this is different from how Drupal counts project usage might also be interesting.
I agree. I mean, it came up this week because we crossed over 1,000, and people are curious what that means. Also, there's always this volatility, right? Which I understand that there's going to be some volatility, but sort of, it's a lot just curiosity, understanding how that works. You know, somebody made a joke, or maybe they weren't, about like, well, maybe we crossed 1,000 because I spun up so many test sites this weekend. And it's occurred to me, like I set up 5 empty sites that I'm just experimenting with that are on a server. And I'm guessing that if I'm active enough that those sites check for updates 2 weeks in a row, they will count. But then if I quit using them, they'll quit checking for updates, right? And they'll disappear. So that's how, I mean, it's nice, I think, to have an understanding that that's how sites sort of appear for a while and then disappear. And I mean, it's still useful information, though.
Yeah, that's the way that it happens in Drupal as well. That's why you have fluctuating numbers. You don't.
It's not going to be a perfect way, no.
Yes.
There's also something different, like Drupal counts all of the sites that are running tests. So like when you run a test suite, you like install a bunch of different times. Backdrop doesn't. Like we changed the way our test thing works so that it doesn't actually ping out the outside server for any test instance. So I don't know how that like translates into direct number differences, but I would imagine it's fairly substantial.
Okay.
Depending on how many tests you're running in a given year. Which is mostly test bot for us. Or CI sandbox. Okay, is there anything else on the agenda?
Nope.
Yeah, I wish I could have more thoroughly answered that question, although reading over this, I remember when we ported it, it was a pretty heavy thing to follow, and now reading over it, I'm just like, I can't even tell you like where this stuff is. Like, I know what it's doing in theory, but like I wish that I could point at and go, here's where it does exactly this thing, but it's it's hard to actually pull that out.
I think Jeff worked on it, if I'm not mistaken, as well, or
Jeff did the project GitHub integration, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did much supporting when this originally happened.
Jeff added the all the stuff that's on the homepage with all the blocks.
Yeah. I also remember we had to do a little bit of weird work because Drupal.org doesn't actually use MySQL anymore for its usage data. It stores them in Mongo, I think, which was just really weird. And so so this has been updated to use MySQL again, rather than introducing a dependency on Mongo.
Maybe Mongo is like significantly faster for crunching huge numbers because Drupal has huge numbers to worry about.
Yeah.
I think it's probably just that whoever ported it to 777 just wanted to use Mongo because that was the thing at the time.
Silly developers.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else anyone wants to talk about today? We are over by 5 minutes. No. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop the broadcast. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in.